Good morning everybody and welcome to this week's Headmaster's blog. It's Friday the 24th of September and as you can see from these somewhat unfamiliar surroundings, I'm not recording this from my office at Kingswood House in Epsom. I am in fact seeking some respite from the Headmasters and Headmistresses IPS conference in Bournemouth, and I've escaped just for a couple of minutes up to my room to create this blog so that it can go out today in the newsletter. So forgive the fact that I'm recording this essentially from a bedroom. It's not out of choice, it's just because it's the only place I can find any peace and quiet. And on the topic of Bournemouth and the conference, I must say it's been intriguing, and the theme of this year's conference has been emerging with ambition, which I guess serves the purpose of coming out of the pandemic and taking away all of the lessons that we've learned and thinking carefully as school leaders about how we can take the best of what's worked and move forward with that so that we can continue to evolve and create schools that are fit for purpose and creating young people who have the necessary skill sets and the tools to navigate through a rapidly changing world. And very thought-provoking commentaries I have listened to as well and taken away some excellent ideas, some of which I've shared with you in the newsletter this week. Also, I was immensely proud to lead my own seminar session, which is a great privilege to talk to your fellow heads and delegates, and I was putting Kingswood House at the forefront of national education for the first time at conference, when I was charting our own journey through from 13 plus to 16 plus education, obviously set against the backdrop of uncertain economic times and the successes that we found and the pitfalls that we've encountered along the way. It was a well-attended session and we've had some excellent feedback. I'm incredibly proud personally to have undertaken that, but professionally also, because it really is wonderful to think that Kingswood House is being talked about and modelled against by some very big and illustrious schools looking at what we've achieved. And I commend once again my fantastic team of teaching and support staff, without whom it simply would not have been possible. So very heady days indeed. On a more prosaic note, I am well aware, I've been in touch with Mrs. Witts and all of the senior leadership team, that this week has seen us have more cases confirmed of COVID, and I think we all understand that we're going to have a few rocky times over the course of the next few weeks and months. We have written to you and telling you what we are going to do in practical terms to try and minimise the impact of that and all the precautionary measures that we can put in place whilst trying to maintain that normality that we're all working towards and aspiring to. And I think as long as we all agree on that mindset, that we are going to encounter some bumps in the road, but we just have to knuckle down, work together and try and make it as practically doable as possible, that we can circumnavigate it together and just become once again that normal school working environment for our pupils, whilst making some very sensible and safety conscious decisions which aren't going to necessarily affect what they can or can't do within reason. So I ask once again for your patience and understanding. We are certainly not alone in having cases. In fact, I think there are many schools close by us who have things far worse. Naturally, there will be at times some staff absence as well that we will also overcome, but it is a partnership between home and school, and we're all committed to making it work for our pupils, and we've done it before. You can rest assured that we will do it again. So watch this space, but anything that you can do at home as well, just to keep making sure that you test at least twice a week and that you emphasise the importance of hygiene and cleanliness and keeping a safe social distance once inside, wearing a mask if you choose to do so. All of those things, small differences, but they do all add up to a powerful cumulative effect. So no doubt I'll be talking more about that next week. In the meantime, mentions in dispatches then this week. Well done to Bacchus in reception for always trying his best to complete his work to a high standard, from Mr. Clerk. Well done to all reception pupils for their great work in PE, says Mr. Westcott. Well done to Paul Hartman from Mrs. Lambert for your great work in phonics this week. To Will Nelson Bowling for really good work in PSHE from Miss Smith. Freddie Latimer has made a really good start in 5F, says Miss Forbes. He's settling in very well and working hard. Fraser Smith has received a Sportsmanship Award for his conduct in a match last week. A really good personification of the Kingswood House way, says Mr. Clark. Cameron Edwards, well done for maths from Mrs. Seaver. And Dolly Morris in 6L, well done to you for your excellent poem on respect, says Mrs. Seaver. Frankie Larter and Nathaniel John in 6S have both been very conscientious in their roles as prep monitors, says Madame Swift. And Alex Forbes has received a Sportsmanship Award for his behaviour in a match last week. Another great example of the KHS way, says Mr. Clark. And all the boys, says Mr. Lordy, at the under-11 tournament at Surbiton Prep showed great determination throughout the tournament, finishing runners-up in the plate final against some very tough opposition. And boys, I know that you did really well in that tournament and were not too far away from being finalists in the main event, maybe just a goal or two in the other direction. But you know what? You've done your best and we're very proud of you. Well done to Will Foster and Zachary Yanni for a really good start to terms as Mr. Barrett in 7BA. Alyssa Chung, consistently polite, showing great manners, says Miss Black. Gabriel Clark, really good contributions to form time. And Henry Rusco, really good understanding in a recent prep, says Mr. Barrett. Well done to Freya Kruger, who's got a couple of nominations this week. Firstly, for being a great representative for 7P during football practice. Harry Peters also diligent in lessons. George Dyson, Ethan Bold, James Dowling commended for their knowledge of charities that they're passionate about supporting for their houses, says Miss Patel. 7P in general have been outstanding, utterly outstanding, says Mrs. Hornstetter, presumably in history. Ethan Bowl, although not in the lesson in person, still produced a wonderful piece of prep, says Mrs. Hornstetter. A really good work ethic from you there, Ethan. Tristan Bush made an incredible start to the year, and James Dowling too, who's actually asked for more work to do. Love to see that, James. Tristan Bush, another nomination for you for great work in English for Mrs. Bray. And Freya, here's your other nomination. You have been really busy with your football and been selected for the under-13 team against Glyn this week. So you are definitely making history, Freya, being the first girl representative in a KHS sports team. Congratulations. I hope you score a goal or two in a famous win for our side. Well done to Lauren and Freya also for working together in music, writing down rhythms in a dictation task. Dylan Bishop's thrown himself into the new academic year with enthusiasm, and Miss Foster's been particularly pleased to hear him talking in French around the classroom, as you do. Très bien, Dylan. Sam Carroll going above and beyond in science, even carrying out his own personal experiments for project work. Will Harvison too, showing good teamwork and kindness. Love to hear that. Well done. Toby Cox started the year in fine fashion, working hard, smiling around the school. Toby, we're all with you, we're all rooting for you, and great to hear that you started with such a great exemplary example. Well done to you. Ethan Carroll, well done in mathematics from Mr. Barrett. Connor Towers going above and beyond in French homework, getting accommodation from Madame Taylor. All the boys for the under-13s at the Parkside tournament at the weekend did very well. Mr. Hendry is pleased with you. Well done to Ian Shafiq, Toby, Arlo, Avanish, who all stayed behind, tidied up chairs and desks after their music lesson. Really good to hear that. Small tasks that mean a lot, says Miss Foster. And Josh McCrossan settling in well and coping with the quite advanced pace of our top maths group, says Mr. Sikdeo. Well done to Priyank, settling quickly in form time, says Madame Taylor. Henry Trina, great application in maths from Mr. Barrett. Henry again, and Joel McCarati, really good focus carrying out their ecology practical work, says Miss Patel. Into the seniors, Ollie Gow nominated in 9B, well done for being settled and focused from Mrs. Bray. Tobias Van Hennigan, Archie Spick and Bogdan Podbigora doing really well with their computer science, as Mrs. Webb. And Tirani, really good work in maths from Mr. Sikdeo. Sam McCaskill making a good work ethic in maths and his making of Modern Britain independent study sessions too. Alex Hill, Tommy Wood in 9H, helping new pupils to settle in. Love to hear that from Mr. Hendry. Fazan Ruri, well done to you for your computer science work from Mrs. Webb. Ruri again nominated for maths by Mr. Sikdeo. And James Carr has clearly grown in confidence over the summer, being fantastic at volunteering answers in science, says Miss Patel. And Ollie Ward starting to show better effort more consistently in lessons. Keep it up, please, says Miss Patel. Alan Riffat's joined into 10H this week and done very well. Thank you to the form group for being very supportive, says Mrs. Hornstetter. Really good computer science prep from Ali Al-Rabai and Yejun Lee, says Mrs. Webb. Miss Patel, very pleased with all of 10H for their presentations on energy resources, a great start to the year. Tommy Collins, really good work in functional skills English. Well done to you from Mrs. Smith. Ted Reed and 10W, a really good start to your academics, says Mrs. Weston, and a mention for Zach Allibone, Tirit Byrne and Enan Abdul for their respect poems, which I think you can see in the newsletter this week. Do take a moment to read them, they're outstanding. Well done from Mrs. Webb to Zach, Enan, Jack Bunyar-Ames and Ishmael for your computer science homework. And Will Hamilton commended by Miss Black for excellent listening and first-hand in science books when requested after prep. Mr. Bailey, very pleased with all of the Year 11s who completed their pre-mock examinations. They showed real diligence and maturity, and I'm sure that all of those who've navigated their way through can be commended by all of us, Mrs. Wraith, as well. Mr. Sickday says a big thank you to the senior prefects for their touring during open morning on Saturday, which was really a wonderful showcase for our school in the sunshine. And in general, well done to everyone who uses the senior common room. They've been very respectful, and actually it's looking much better there now after break times than it ever has done. So it's good to see that you're treating such a user-friendly space with respect. Well done, seniors. And finally, from Miss Black, well done to Year 11s for their ecology fieldwork at Juniper Hall this week. They behaved impeccably, great ambassadors for the school. And Madame Swift would like to say thank you to all of those boys in senior prep who were delightful. They worked beautifully. That's Angelo, Daniel Pepper, Rory Slater, Rory Fitzpatrick, Foloyani and Yvonne Tutai. So well done to you boys. So that wraps up a busy week, and we have obviously the better part of 3 or 4 weeks to go before half term, and clearly, as I say at the outset, there's going to be some interesting times ahead, but we plough on trying to make sure we've got a safe degree of normality for the pupils to continue to enjoy and make progress in the school. That will mean that we all need to be agile and flexible in our thinking from time to times. It does mean that we're going to have to be patient. It does mean that we're going to have to be consistent and understanding with one another. But that's what Kingswood House excels at. Have a super weekend.